Dave Hendricks here, Connecticut Yankee Peddler, and today we've got with us Joe Shocker. Joe's been a lifelong, almost friend, at least as far as the shop has been open, and we've been here in Sheraton. And Joe has been riding a recumbent bike or recumbent bikes for a long time, and thought maybe we would chat a little bit with Joe in regards to how he got into the recumbent biking and what he enjoys about it. So,
Okay.
what can you tell? Go back in the past.
Okay. So I've ridden Ragbray 48 times, but years ago I had a friend who's my size, and he was having problems riding a standard bike. We were riding the old he was riding an old 27-inch Schwinn, and he said to me, "It is too high and too slow. I need to get lower and I will get faster." So what he did, he went and found some Easy Racer plans before the internet. He just sent away for them, and he made a very heavy long wheelbase recumbent out of old bike parts, welded it together and everything. And I rode that, and it was a beast. But then he came up with a short wheelbase. He says, "Joe, I need to get lighter, and I need to get shorter wheelbase." So we were on Ragbray one time, and I asked him if I could ride his recumbent bike. And so I rode it, and I thought, that's very comfortable, very comfortable. And I told the guy I was riding with, I am almost sleepy, I'm so relaxed. But that kind of intrigued me. But then after that, and Dave, you can inform me if you rented Vision bikes or loaned out Vision bikes on Ragbray.
I don't remember.
He does not remember, but he did. So I rode, I think it was in Clear Lake, staying with a friend of mine, and I was kind of comparing the two. Dave had one that was over seat steering, and you had one that was under seat steering. So I rode that, and totally different ride. And I kept on thinking, this should be kind of faster, but then I quit trying to analyze the ride, and I just relaxed. And I noticed the more I relaxed, the faster I would go. And by the end of the day, usually after Ragbray, it takes you about 2 hours to recover. And I think I recovered like right after I took my shower. And I thought, this is different. This is different. So I tried that. And then I bought my first one from Craig Cooper up in Bikes to You, up in Grinnell, 2003. And that was a Lightning Phantom. And I rode that for like 15 years. And I called it my little horse because it could go about anywhere. And it was a good hill climber. And Snake Alley, I actually rode up Snake Alley in Burlington on that. I could not believe that. Rode it on the Katy Trail once, pulling a bob trailer. Just very, very comfortable. But about 5 years ago, I started having problems with balance. And I thought, short wheelbases are in the past for me. I do have some friends who bought short wheelbase bikes, recumbent bikes, when they were 70 years old. I would not recommend that. Do not buy a short wheelbase recumbent after 70. So they had this thing called a Rans Extreme. And Jordan said, "Joe, why don't you go and try to ride that?" So I rode it, and I thought, wow, this is interesting. This is interesting. Then I thought, okay, I am going to put a little bit of money toward it. And I kind of paid it on layaway for Dave. And then he called me and he said, "Do you want this?" This guy was interested in, he is interested in purchasing it. And I said, "I want it." So I got it. And it took me a while to adapt to it. My wife has what's called a Rans Stratus LE, and that's kind of lower. With the Extreme, you have higher feet position, so you can go faster. And it took me about 2 years to really feel dialed in with it, and now I feel very comfortable riding it.
So the long wheelbase is working out well for you.
Right, right. Even though it's a little tippy, when I think what I have problems with is like we're on trails, I don't feel comfortable starting it sometimes, because when you make the transition on trail, sometimes you go across gravel and you have to watch for traffic. I'll just walk it across, okay? But my friends will go ahead, but they know I can catch them. So I'll catch them very easily.
Yeah. So being a little bit tippy, and you're aware that we sell tons of trikes.
Where are they, Dave?
So
Yes.
we have lots of trikes, and you have not transitioned from a two-wheel
Not yet.
layback recumbent to a
Right.
trike.
Right.
And tell me a little bit about what your thinking is there.
I think I was a brain injury consultant in the AEA, and I thought we need to have that input of losing your balance, okay? Because I think that's very important for like balance activities. I have difficulty with my balance, so I'm willing to take that risk of, riding a little higher, riding a little faster, and then if I tip, but I might be looking for like a long wheelbase recumbent with lower chainring.
Okay, thinking back, kind of coming back to, you said up until I think it was around 2003, you were riding a regular upright two-wheel bike. So you've ridden a number of RAGBRAIs on a regular upright two-wheel, and then you've ridden a number of RAGBRAIs on your recumbent two-wheel.
Right.
What would you say are the differences? And I'm thinking about in regards to, there are a lot of people on RAGBRAI. You get into a big group and so forth.
Right.
But anyway, you already talked about how the long distance was a whole lot better, or
Right.
is a whole lot better
Right. Right.
on the two-wheel recumbent.
Right.
But what about the group ride?
I think the thing that kind of impressed me on a group ride once, the first time I noticed a recumbent guy was riding a P38 Lightning, okay? He was a former racer,
And that's a short wheelbase.
short wheelbase, and he was leading his line, about 25 bike riders. And I thought, I want to look at that brand, okay? I knew didn't necessarily care to ride that fast, more for comfort. And at that time, I'm about 230 now. I was 260, almost 265. And I thought, I'm going to need a shock in the front, okay? So that made it more comfortable. I think the thing that my experience in RAGBRAI is people notice me because my size, I'm 6'6", and I'm talking all the time. So people hear me coming up, and I engage people all the time. So I felt comfortable. Sometimes I think the only difficulty I've ever had is sometimes people just that are kind of like untrained to ride in a pace line. They'll ride 2x2, and they will come real close to me. They'll be riding the left lane. I might be riding toward the inside of the right lane, and they might come kind of close, and that's when I just yell. So that's okay. That's only happened a couple times in 48 years.
Okay.
But yeah, I always think that people see me. I'm pretty bright in terms of coloring I have. People notice me. I think I probably kind of like push the same wind as somebody who's very short. So it's kind of like look like a short rider from behind. Then they come up beside me, they go, oh, long legs. So it was a different experience on a standard bike in that everybody could see me because being very tall, and I was pushing a lot of wind. One of the big difference I notice is on RAGBRAI with all recumbents, sometimes I don't notice when there is a headwind. I'll be riding along, and all of a sudden I'm passing people, and I notice they're struggling. And I said, "Do we have a headwind?" "Yes, we have a headwind." Okay.
So one of the biggest benefits of the recumbent is the
aerodynamics.
aerodynamics.
Yes, huge. So yeah, and my wife didn't like the idea of making the transition from a standard bike, and I had to surprise her with a bike from your shop. Took it home. She didn't want to admit that she wanted to ride it. She loved it. So she's been riding recumbents.
And what does she love about it?
She likes the comfort of it, and the fact that she can just talk along and go pretty fast. She has a lighter recumbent now. She, we had a Stratus LE, and now she has an Easy Racer Gold Rush that I was able to pick up, and it moves right along. And she had to admit, when she was complaining about the first recumbent, she said, "This was a good idea that you had." And I said, "Kid, I share that with all of our friends."
Now, one of the things that you're talking about is at 8 miles an hour up, it's just real easy to hold a line.
Right.
But getting started isn't as easy. Now,
Right.
what I've noticed is if we put a motor, and
Right.
especially a motor with a throttle on it, to get started,
Right.
you can use that to get
Right.
to
Make
get
the
up to 8
transition.
miles an hour.
Right.
Yeah. Kind of looking at this too, what do you normally wear as clothing? Because clothing doesn't have to be, or it can be different than on an upright with
Right.
with that small seat versus that nice wider recumbent
Right.
seat.
When I was, I did an in-service once with my church, and I stood up in front and I said, "I'm going to bring some recumbent bikes in for you to ride, and you can see how they are." And I said, one of the biggest benefits is, and I had on a t-shirt and some cargo pants, and I said, all I have to do to get ready for riding a recumbent is throw in my helmet and my mirror on, and I can go within 2 or 3 minutes. Might change shoes, but it's just comfortable to be able to do that, and I save a lot of money. I have Lycra shorts that are 35 years old that are in pretty good shape, but I don't use them, so I don't have to.
We get into, you retired a few years ago as a social worker. I'm a social worker.
Right.
I've retired too, a lot before you did. But, anyway, you come help us here
Yes.
every so often. That's why you have the nice Connecticut Yankee Peddler T-shirt. And it says Joe on it. And what do you like to do around here? I can say you do some volunteer work for us here.
Well, I like to clean the bikes. I like to interact with the customers and just be part of what's going on here. It's just fun, and you don't put any stress on me, and that's good. And it's kind of similar, like, to being involved with work again. One of the psychologists that I worked with said, after I left Great Prairie, she said, "Joe, you need an office to go to." Why? I said, you always want to talk to people, always want to talk to people. And you just know I spend a lot of time talking and entertaining. So you give me a space to do that here. And I would recommend people come in and do it, because it's a very nice environment here.
Therapeutic.
I wouldn't say therapeutic. Purpose, gives me purpose.
Purpose, okay.
And you respect what I can do. It's limited, but you respect what I can do.
So you volunteer here.
Right.
And we're thinking, a lot of people watch this on YouTube all over the world. And, maybe they have a bike shop that they like, that they
Right.
go to all the time.
Right.
And what would you say in regards to somebody volunteering, say, if they're in St. Louis, or
Okay.
maybe they're in Moose Jaw, Alaska,
Right.
or someplace?
Right. Well, I think the thing that got me to volunteer down here was, well, I'm only 30 miles away from you. and I could have went up and worked at the Bike Collective, and I did volunteer there for a few days, but they weren't giving me too much in terms of things to do or instruction, okay? So I thought, oh, okay, that's why I decided to come in and ask you, and you have taught me a lot of stuff, and being very patient on teaching me stuff and how things work. And that's a lot of fun. So I would encourage people to, you know, if you get in a situation, there's a saying that goes, there are people who like to hang around bike shops and there are people who can work in bike shops. I'm kind of in the category, I like to hang around bike shops. So if you feel like you're in that situation, and if you have a good relationship with the owner of the bike shop, ask them if there's some things to do, because there's always some little things to do, all the way from airing up tires to cleaning frames, just talking with clientele. Those are the things that I enjoy.
Appreciate, you doing the cleaning and doing some things around. And one of the other things that you've provided for us has been looking from outside and saying, you know what, if you had such and such, that might be easier. And one of the things that we had, especially as the electric has come in, and we're lifting especially a heavy trike up to the stand, because the stand didn't lower, and we found a stand that Grief was manufactured an hour from here, and it holds 2 trikes, and it's pneumatic, and it can go up and down, and our staff do not have to lift up the trikes. And we also got one for electric bikes that now goes up and down as well. So some of those types of things, you see, it's like, Dave, you need to have that. So, your input into those things, and it's not just necessarily equipment, but it's also sometimes you say, hey, there's a new trail that's up there at Monroe to Prairie City, or I rode this, and that's just even customers come in all the time. Hey, I rode this trail, and and you do that too, and so there's always a lot of sharing that goes on that's appreciated. So we do appreciate
You bet.
you.
Yes, and I appreciate coming down here.
For being here
All
years.
Everybody.
Okay, we better sign off because I know we got people waiting.
You bet.
Thank you, Joe.
You bet.
Appreciate it.